Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome officially to Failures to Flowers. This is a four-part meeting that's supposed to help change our mindset towards failure. That's supposed to help us understand and change our mindset towards failure. Okay, so I come from Nigeria in West Africa, and much like other parts of the world, failure is sometimes I'm struggling to pick the right word, but let's say most times failure is like a stigma. Failure is like this nickname that you're given, a subtle nickname that you're given, and everyone is just avoiding you, everyone is tiptoeing around you, everyone kind of feels it, you know it, but everyone kind of feels it. In some cases, they spell it out, in some cases, they just snare at you, in some cases, they just laugh at you, they just mock you. And this is a meeting that I really and sincerely hope God is going to help us understand how to turn it around and how not to let it um, define us. So that's where we'll be starting from this evening. How failure does not define us, but failure refines us. Okay. So interestingly, it's just a thin line, one letter, literally, define and refine. So when we let failure define us, most times we lose out on the refining process. Okay, and I promise not to make this very long. It's a four-part series, so definitely we're just going to touch and go, and hopefully, and I sincerely believe that our mindset will be fully turned around. So today we're going to be looking at the untold side of failure. So you see, failure is this thing that we all know. We can all define failure. We can all tell stories about failure. We've all experienced failure. At least for everyone who is here, for everyone who is watching this, I believe you came because you have a perspective, you have a thought about failure. Okay. Um, I'm here to tell you that there's another side to it that we never really knew. There's another side to it that we never fully understood. We just took it as a given and we rode with it basically. So I'll start with this quick story, right? So when I was in primary school, I had a very, very close friend, very, very close friend. This was a guy. Okay, we were children. So this boy was top of his class. Okay, when I mean top of his class, we're always struggling. If it's first position, I'm second position. If it's second position, I'm third position. First, second. Like we always kept going around between first, second, and third. Okay, in a classroom of about 17 to 20, we're always struggling for first and third and the rest. Well, I even went sometimes as low as fourth. This guy was always top two basically. I don't even remember him lasting or going low as third. Okay, it was always top two. So as far as I can remember, primary two, primary three, primary four, he wasn't in primary five because this young man got a double promotion, wrote common entrance in primary four, and went straight to JS1. As a matter of fact, the primary school management were kind of sad or upset that he left because they had planned to push him forward in all of the statewide competitions that the school was eligible for in primary five. So I'm sure most of us had those experiences when you're in primary five. There's inter-house sports, there's inter-school competitions, debates, essay writing, science fairs, and all of that. So they had been planning that, okay, we have a superstar when he's a primary five, we'll pack all of those records, we'll pack all of those trophies. This guy's really going to help us. But then the road common entrance and his parents pushed him forward, and he was very young, I think at the age of 9, and moved on to secondary school. Okay. And I know his story personally. I mean, we've stick together over the years. And just one, he went to something like a staff school for university, so it was significantly bigger than what he was used to. So he was coming first in a class of about 17 to 20 people over 3 or 4 years. And fast forward to JS1, he was in a class where they're up to 70, they're up to 80 in a class. So first time he came 11th, and that was a very good fit. Very, very good. I mean, considering the fact that he didn't do primary five, he didn't do primary six, he had to study on his own. He came 11th, and the parents were proud, the teachers were proud. Um, Fast forward to second term, I think he got 17th or 20th. Very, very good. Also, very, very good. And people were still encouraging him, you know what, go forward, go forward, go forward. But then in second term, something happened. They had an inter-house sport. Now he's been in inter-house sport before, but this inter-house sport was on another level. I mean, if in primary school his class had a maximum limit of about 17 or 20, and now he was in a classroom of about 80 to 75. And also note this, each arm of the school, so there are six classes, GS1 to SS3. Each level, like in GS1, there are about 6 or 7 arms. So you have just one A, B, C, D, E, F, like that, like that. Okay. And in each class, you have 70 to 80. You can imagine the population of GS1, the population of GS1 to SS3. So it was large scale, it was wide, you know, and he got to meet and mingle with lots of people from so very many backgrounds, from different facets of life. Okay. And that got him distracted. That's that was that was a phase he was not exactly equipped for emotionally. So while he was very brilliant, he was very, very intelligent, wasn't fully equipped for that world that he was just forced into, or that world that he found himself in a way. And so from third term, it went downhill. He started getting 25th position, came 30th position, up until like GS3 came, I think at some point his results were so bad, he was 40th in a class. I mean, there were still up to 70 or 80 students in a class, but he came half of the class. That was pretty bad for someone who was very intelligent, to the point that he had double promotion to the secondary school. You can understand how disappointed his parents were. You can realize how upsetting it was, how it was like a rising star just came dimming down. Okay, what everyone had expected, what everyone had hoped for, just suddenly became like a flash that dimmed, and he just kind of went low key, you know, and we didn't really hear much from him until about SS3, and we found out that okay, he'd been struggling with those results over time, and he found it difficult to get out of it. And so consequence was that he wrote WAEC a couple of times, 2-3 times, before he got into the university. Luckily, his parents could afford a private school, so he went to private school. But then failure repeated itself again. You know, 100 level, his GPA was like 2 point something in a 5 points course. 200 level, he struggled. I think he got almost 3 points, maybe a 2.8 or a 2.9. So, you know, it will require serious anointing and yeast for that CGPA to rise. And eventually, he was advised to repeat in the third year. Okay. Now, this is someone who has struggled with failure for about 10 years now. In his academics, he's been struggling with failure. And at some point, this young man just thought, like, I learned firsthand that he wanted to kill himself. I mean, for real, he wanted to commit suicide. You know, this man just felt like, you know what, I've tried, I've prayed, I've read, I've done all I think I can do. I am a failure, you know, and that was a strong point in his life where he began to say to himself, I am a failure. Can you imagine, like, how how does one get to a point where he feels like I am this? Okay, he really had no hope left, he had no motivation left, he just had to accept I am a failure. He had one little spark left, just one little spark. And I'll wrap up the story very quickly. He had one little spark, and that little spark was the fact that his parents, even though they were separated, they loved him so very much. He came from a loving family, and so through it all, they supported him individually, but they did support him. Okay, and so he never gave up. I think that's where I'm going with this story. He did not give up. So he got his transcript from that school. He couldn't repeat because it was quite expensive to be in a private school, and the parents couldn't afford it comfortably in the first place. To not having repeat was kind of sad. So he had to drop out of school for a while, and then eventually he got back in school. And with the transcript, he had to continue from about 200 level thereabouts. So it's still like he had to repeat a couple of levels, went backwards. Um, he did his best. He came out, I think, eventually with a second class, but it was tough for him. He never really got that bounce out, and like he never got the bounce out. You know, when you go deep into something and you just hit the rock bottom and you come back out, he kind of just wallowed. The highest he came was probably neck high. So you get a little bit of fresh air, then you go back in, more like he was almost drowning in failure. But he graduated. Praise be to God. He succeeded, finally got a job. And this young man, lucky enough, he got a job straight out of service. So he thought to himself, you know what? Okay. Um, he found himself in an industry. Sorry, let me add this clause. He found himself in the tech industry. And in the tech industry, we all know that okay, credentials don't matter so much. It's what you know and what you know how to do that matters so much. So he decided to turn things around and feel like, okay, so no one is asking me for my result here, no one is giving me an exam here. So let me give you my best and see how creative and how productive I can be. So he did that. Okay, put his head in the game, put grit to the work, did the hard work, very, very hard work, and eventually got recognized by his management, got recognized by his bosses. And today he's doing so very well. He's at the top of his game. He's living in success, so to say. And interestingly, he went back to school. So he went to get his master's, and the newfound confidence helped him thrive in the master's program. Now, you'd think that when he was in school full time would have been easier for him to succeed. Interestingly, when he was now taking his master's part time and working, he had better results. So this young man came out with a second class upper, 4 point something GPA in his master's program. And you'll be wondering, where was this brain all these years? How did he not succeed, so to say? How did he not and enjoy this wonderful success that he's having right now? And that's the story for tonight, guys. I started with this very long story just to kind of open your eyes to this untold side. And here's the interesting thing. Okay, so I think for anyone who is on this course right now, you probably know me to some extent. For anyone who is watching this recording, you probably know me to some extent. For everyone watching directly on the streaming link, you probably know me also. That's why you're here. So I'm that guy in the story, actually. I'm the guy in the story I just told. I lied at the beginning. I said it was my friend. But it's me. True story. Like, this is not fiction. So I'm not telling you someone's story. This happened to me. Flying, high flying students, grade A students, first class students in primary school, had a huge decline, secondary, university days, now coming out top. Okay, and I am saying to myself now, what happened? Because I know I tried everything to succeed. I know I tried everything to get my books right. I know I tried everything to study well. Yes, there were distractions. Yes, there were issues, but I did my best to beat everything. I did my best to get over everything, but I never really did. So why did I get to the point that failure was defining me? And tonight, that's the untold story. That's the untold story. You see, we never got to understand, or we're never told that failure is not it doesn't mean we're F. It doesn't mean we're failures. Failing doesn't mean we are failures. Failing simply means there is something you shouldn't do again. So I was a science student right from primary school. Um, I For the longest time, I wanted to be an engineer. For the longest time, if you ask me what's your future ambition, an engineer, whether it's civil engineering, electrical engineering, aeronautic engineering, it had to be something engineering. I graduated from computer science, still a science course. I'm in tech, doing a lot of programming. But I'm not saying to myself, I got a 4.4 GPA in my master's program in business administration. So does that really mean that I was equipped for science or I was equipped for arts? You see, I am now starting to think that failure back then was saying something to me and to my parents and to everyone around me, including my teachers. But we never really saw that side. And so I kept trying and trying to do the wrong thing the same way. I probably would have had better success in the arts or in the social sciences than I ever did in science. But I had a blind ambition, I had a stubborn and dogged ambition to be an engineer. And so I reveled in failure for many years. And that's the thing about failure. Failure is simply telling us that there's something wrong. Failure is simply telling us that, look, you didn't get this time, you need to change something. And so failure in itself is not failure, but it's telling us that there's something to be corrected. I wish I could write a huge appeal to like Oxford Dictionary or maybe a council of people who have words, and I'm like, let's just scrap the word failure. Let's look for another word. If we start afresh with another word, maybe people will see things differently. And so tonight, going into my notes, I'm glad I was able to lay that foundation. I don't know if you followed this story, if you liked the story, if you enjoyed this story, but I surely believe that this is the right foundation for us to move forward. Now, I have my slides on the screen, and you see the next one, or the picture on the screen right now says, what flower pot would you like the most? So there are two flower pots here. Both have flowers in them. One looks bent halfway, one looks perfect. I would guess on our behalf, if you can choose one, you can probably drop it in the comments, or you can probably multi it to yourself. But if I would guess right, majority of persons would actually pick the flower pot behind. Now, why would they do that? Simply because it looks a better fit. The one in front looks imperfect. The one behind looks or appears perfect. But now, do you know that we can't even see the one behind clearly? We can only see the one in front clearly. So sometimes what we are seeing in our front is a direct indication of what will be ahead. Now, I didn't even plan to say it this way, but I hope you understand me. We're looking at something right now, but because we're so focused on that thing ahead, we have a goal, we have an ambition, we have a vision, we have a dream that we want to achieve. We're failing to understand that this one that we can see clearly now, we can fix this one. Instead of fixing this one, we now still try to make this one the picture that is ahead, that is still blurry and it's not clear. Let me break it down further. So if I have a piece of paper and that piece of paper is folded, right? And I wanted to draw a picture. If I draw the picture on the folded paper, I won't feel like that's my best work because paper is folded. I'll prefer a straight canvas, a straight paper, a plain sheet to put in my picture. However, I will fail to appreciate the effort of the painting in the folded paper because I am forever thinking it has to be a straight paper. So being in a folded paper doesn't necessarily mean the drawing is bad, but I think I have failed, or I will think I have failed because the paper is not straight. As silly as this sounds, that is how we let failure define us most times. Now, I really would like to look for responses now. Who has an idea what this picture on the screen is like? What is this thing? Can anyone figure it out? I wanted to drop hints, but I don't want to put anything in your head. Just looking at it as it is now, what do you think this thing is? Let me check the chat very quickly now. Okay, someone said they'll pick the pot behind. Oh yeah, so I guessed right. Great, great, great. If I could just get a quick response for this as well. What do you think this in the picture is? You know, when I first saw the picture, I thought it was chocolate, to be quite honest. I don't know if we've seen these chocolates that are always in wrapping sheet. So I thought it was a chocolate. Okay. Then later on, I thought maybe okay, shining stones, shiny, very shiny stones. Let me show you another picture of this same thing. Okay, someone is laughing at my shiny stones. Now, this same thing that we're looking at that is like a shining stone or a chocolate. This is what it is actually in real life. So do we now get what that picture was? These are gold jewelries or golden jewelries, which means this picture here is gold. But would I pick this gold or would I pick this gold? I will pick the jewelries 100 times over the golden stones. Now, I would pick the golden stone because I don't know how to use, I'll pick the jewelries rather because I don't know how to use the stone. The stone is, I can't wear it. In fact, I can't sell the stones. I don't know who would buy raw gold. I can't sell it like this. It's not appealing to me. I will not rush for it. I will not fight for it. If I was going on the road and I saw people struggling for this, I would not fight. But if I'm passing a shop and there are 100 people struggling, they said this thing is free, 100 people are struggling, I will drop my bag. I would beg someone to hold it for me and I will go and collect one. Because if I get one, I know that bad as a bad, 50K, 100K in naira anyways, 100,000 naira or 50,000 naira I can make from at least one of these jewelries. Now, you see, sometimes the implication of this is we are in this shiny stone level, we're in this shiny stone phase, and we think we have failed. Of course, if you think about it, yes, we have failed to become jewelries. Okay, but it doesn't mean that we must remain stones. It only, what the failure is telling us here is that we are not yet jewelries. We have not gotten to the point to be usable. And so there is a process we must go through. That failure is an indication of the fact that we are not there yet. Now, for anyone who has a car or anyone who drives cars, you'd know that there are indicators on the dashboard. Okay, some indicators tell you the engine oil is low, tire is flat, oil pressure, tire pressure is low, there's the water in the radiator is low, and things like that. Now, what those lights are saying is that the engine is failing. If you don't attend to this, the engine will fail. Now, sometimes some of us stubbornly still drive it like that, especially in my country. We ignore all the signs and just wait until it completely breaks down and then we try to fix it. But naturally, what those lights are saying to us is pay attention to this. The engine oil requires attention. The tires need attention. You need to fix this. So that's light, that indicator, albeit a failure sign, is not saying that this engine has failed. If you keep going, it probably lasts you a couple of miles before it completely fails. But that sign initially is saying pay attention to this so you can have optimal performance. I like this next part. Okay, it's a Bible verse. Sometimes in 2024, the past year, I took out time to study the book of Job. And I think it's one of those periods where I really got clarity about this topic of failure. God opened my eyes. I'm a believer, by the way, big disclaimer. I'm sorry to anyone who did not know that before joining this. I got my eyes opened. I got major insights while studying this book. And I love this verse in particular. He says, "But he knoweth the way that I take. When he had tried me, I shall come forth as gold." So now let's go back to the shining stone. For this shining stone to become jewelries, it goes through this melting process. This is hot coal, hot plates. In fact, I don't think picture justifies it. I was trying to look for a very, very fine picture. If you Google the process of refining gold, you see large burning furnace, large burning ovens. The temperatures it takes to melt gold are so very high that it's literally going to turn it into liquid before you can turn it into any shape or mold it into any shape that you desire. Now, merging it with this verse is saying at some point we will be tested. Tests are part of life. Now, my story has to do with academics, but you see, in different parts of life, okay, in relationships, in family, in church, in academics, in part of life, we are always tested. Now, what that test does is not necessarily to show that we have failed, but that test is to make us into gold. Not just gold now, make us into usable or wearable gold. Gold is figurative here. Going through that test makes us the best part of ourselves. Now, when we go through that test and we don't succeed, that is when we failed. And when we failed, it doesn't say we're not good to go, it's only saying we need to try again. So one of the things I understood one of the things I got when I was trying to when I was beginning to understand failure, one of the insights I got is the fact that, you see, when a teacher fails a child, it's just because of the way and manner we do things in this part of the world. But when a teacher fails a child, right, it shouldn't be that you cannot get this right. Now, please listen to my words carefully. When a student gets something wrong, it doesn't mean that you cannot get it right. It simply means you did not get things right. And so the mentality there should be that, how do I get this right? Or I need to get this right, not a mentality of I cannot get this right. But because, like I said at the beginning, failure has become a stigma. Failure has become a garment. Failure has become an emblem, a badge that we wear shamefully. So once you get failure, the next point of action is to retreat. Find somewhere to hide your face. Ah, Jesus, if my neighbor hear that this happened to me, I'm in trouble. Oh my God, if my classmates see my result, I'm in trouble. Ah, if my boss sees this thing, I'm in big trouble. I read one book a while ago. Oh my God, it just skipped my mind now. It was written by a US Army general. If I remember the name, I would mention it later on. So in that story, he referenced something that happened on Wall Street. Now, Wall Street is in New York, where the foreign exchange happens. So there was this very, very successful stockbroker. He used to make millions of dollars for his company. And on this particular day, he made a very wrong trade. And so he lost about $10 million for his company. And this was in the 80s or in the 90s. You know what $10 million is today. Now imagine $10 million then. And the guy just said, okay, you know what, it's over for me. I'm done for. In fact, all his colleagues were telling him, bro, hope you have insurance, hope you have savings, because they are going to fire you. There's nothing you can do. So the guy thought, okay, well, to be noble, at least to show that I care, let me resign before they fire me. So he went to his boss's office, their manager, walked in fact, he didn't even write it, he was just talking, he was just like, I'm so sorry, I would like to step down from my position. I know I have made mistakes, I've lost $10 million, I can't pay it back, and so I would like to step down so another person can come to my position and make the money back, hopefully. And the manager looked at him and just gave him side eye. I was like, what do you mean? Where are you going? He said, you can't go anywhere. We just spent $10 million to educate you. And the guy was taken aback. He was like, educate me how? I didn't go to school. He said, no, you lost $10 million. That's experience no other person has on this Wall Street, in this building. No other person has lost $10 million. So forever and ever, the way you will make your own deals will be different from somebody who has never lost it before. Have you noticed that somebody who they have not stolen their phone before, there's a way they are always acting very, very nice with their phone. Someone who they have stolen his phone before, he will always hold that phone and care for that phone in a different manner. I'm not saying people who they've not stolen their phones don't like their phones, don't get me wrong. But there's a different attitude to it when you've experienced failure. Now, that attitude we have to being protective of something after you've lost it should be the attitude we have every single time we fail. Because failure is not saying that you cannot do it, it's only saying you did not do it. The next part here, you know, I've gone on, and I don't want us to feel like this is just some motivational speech. I don't want us to feel like okay, Tomi-Daniel is just here to encourage me. He doesn't even know what I'm going through. Tomi-Daniel, he gave his own story. His own was in school. You don't know how I'm in debt. You don't know how much I've lost. You don't know what is going on in my family. You don't know what I've experienced. I may not have had the exact experiences, but you see, there's one thing about failure: the resulting feelings are the same, or they are almost the same on every level. So you feel uncomfortable, you feel sad, you feel shy. Yes, shyness is not of God. Permit me to say that. Shyness is not a temperament. It's not, some people will say I'm shy, that's my personality. It's a lie. You are not shy. If if you had the confidence that today everything I do will turn to gold, every decision I make will be correct and accurate. If you had the assurance, an angel or God himself comes down and tells you, oh my son, oh my daughter, go out today, everything you do will be right, I will put my stamp, my seal on it, you will not be shy. That's the truth. We are only shy because we failed at something and we feel like we can no longer go. Maybe when we were small, somebody has laughed at our shirts, laughed at our torn shoes. Maybe someone has made fun of something happening around you, and so now you are shy and you think that's your personality. No, it is not. It is a resulting effect of the stigma failure, which we must turn around. Because if you remember, it does not define us, but it refines us. So failure makes us feel insecure. You're walking with your head over your shoulders. You're walking, looking at your back. Oh God, what's going on here? You feel like you're unlucky. It's only you that you'll be walking on the street. Your phone will fall down. Your bag will fall down. Your leg will hit stone. And a cobweb will touch your face. You'll be feeling like it's just me today. You will fight with conductor. You will fight with the woman selling pure water. And it's not your fault. People just have big issues with you. And you feel like, God, why? And then you get embarrassed. You get unsettled. You get nervous. You cannot even do anything. You cannot get one thing right. You know, if you drink water, drop cup. Then depression sets in. Well, it's not even depression at first. It's because we've been rejected. So rejection is the main issue we need to deal with that goes to depression. So sometimes people say I'm depressed, and some people say it's a lie. You're not depressed. You're not feeling that. It is very true. I have experienced it before. Depression is real. The difference is that we are addressing it as depression. Meanwhile, the problem is we feel rejected. When we deal with the rejection we face or the rejection we feel, we get comfortable in our skin. Oh my God, I wish I could actually see the reaction of people right now. I just hope like I I hope I haven't lost anyone, and I hope I haven't made anyone feel like this is overwhelming, because that's the least that I would want to get out of this. I would actually want you to come out with a different notion, come out with a different idea of this failure. That is why it's the untold side. Not no one sits us down to tell this. Our parents did not sit us down to tell this. They tried. Some tried, some teachers tried, but no one ever really put it like this. At least not to me. You know, no one ever came to say, you know what, actually I messed up. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm 40 years old, you're just 10 years old, you're just 20 years old, but I'm telling you, I messed up. This thing you're going through, I have gone through it and I know how to deal with it. Come, let me help you. So in moving on from this phase, achieving clarity, getting getting to be refined and not defined, the first thing we need is a change of sight and a change of perspective. Now, this is not figurative, this is not hyping. I mean this with every sense of the word. If we must kill the yoke, if we must kill the cross of rejection, depression, failure, all of those very bad things, we must change the way we see things. Now, we all know that already when you feel, there's a way people look at you. Everybody has a version of you in their head. Everybody has a way they think of you already. Now, the way to beat the game is to think of yourself differently. Something I struggled with growing up. To seem very funny now. If you see my recent pictures, it will be funny because growing up, I did not know how to dress. True story. You can ask my mother, you can ask my younger brother. Even my father used to laugh at me. I will pick some clothes to church like this, they will send me back. They will say, go and choose another clothes. Because what is this? Even when I was in university, my roommates will laugh at me. They'll be like, we shouldn't have left the hostel before you. We should have waited for you to wear clothes before we left. Which kind of color combination is this? I can wear blue on brown. I can wear red on blue. I can wear yellow with pink. It was terrible. Even I myself, I know. It's not like I was doing it deliberately. I was trying to be better, but I did not get it. I did not get it. The day I started changing was the day I said to myself, I said, you know what, Daniel, you're a fine boy. Daniel, you're a fine boy. Daniel, you're a fine boy. And someone says color blocking. I was really blocking it. Now, when I started saying to myself, Daniel, you're a fine boy, that thing got in my head. There was a bad side to it. I'll come to that. It got in my head. So usually I'll be very insecure going out because of what people have said. But when I started to say to myself, you are a fine boy, you are a fine boy, you are a fine boy, I was moving with my bad colors confidently. People were not talking to me, people were not associating with me. Don't get me wrong, if you do it, people will not like you. But this was what it did. It changed my own mentality and my own mindset because I was much more confident. I was not insecure. I was not sad. I wasn't feeling rejected. I was saying to myself, even in my bad sense, you are a fine boy. I will go, I will go, I will go. Now, you see, when I had confidence and I could now look people in the face, because before I'll be avoiding people, I don't want them to talk about me. I've tried my best. Don't talk about me. Don't look at me. Now, if you look at me, I look at you back. If you say anything to me, I greet you. If you smile, maybe you're even laughing, you're mocking me, I will smile back at you. Hello, hi. Here's the magic that happened. I was able to now analyze people. Before I couldn't look at people. Now I was looking at people and analyzing people. I was like, this person wore black with white. This person wore black with brown. This person wore red with green. This person did this. This person did that. I was getting ideas in my head. In fact, let me come out plain. I was copying people. If I see somebody that looks good, I will try that combination the next day. Then I graduated. I was checking blogs. I was checking YouTube. How do they dress? How do they do this? But you see, the magic there was that I did not get better, or I did not try to get better until I changed the way I was seeing myself, not the way people were seeing me. People were still seeing me the same way. It took me to change how I see myself first before I could now change how people see me. I still have my off days sometimes today. I'm a workaholic, so sometimes I can still wear any how dress and go to work. Thank God I work in tech, so most of my colleagues don't even bother about dressing. But when I have to go out now, I know how to throw down. But it only changed without me having to hire a fashion designer because I got confidence. I changed how I see myself. In my big pointy shoes, I was saying to myself, "You're a fine boy." That was when the scale was lifted off my eye. I could now see. I could see that yes, this thing bad though. This is why they do bad though. See what another person they do. This one makes sense. This one is beautiful. This one is nice. I can copy this. I can use this as inspiration. I can take this. I can take a page out of this playbook. That only happened when I changed how I was able to view my own self. The next thing is we must break down our goals. You see that I'm talking about confidence again. We must break down our goals. You see, sometimes when we set goals, it's just like this man. Goals feel like a straight line. You feel like I can follow. What if this rope is not strong enough? What if this thing shakes? And let me bring real life examples. So I set a goal now. Let's say, for instance, I want to go back to school. I'm going to write an exam to get admission back into school. I am now thinking to myself, Jesus, what if they say my work is not up to date? Jesus, what if they say I didn't score well enough in this subject? Jesus, what if they don't admit me? Jesus, what if they admit me and then this person does not pay me the money they are owing me? And what if my boss change and they don't pay our salary? And what if I lose this job? And what if my parents? You see all those things. It feels like you're walking on a line. It feels like you're walking on a rope that is very, very shaky. But if we learn to break goals down and say, okay, you know what, I want to get admission. The first thing I need to do is study. I need to read. Okay, I want to get admission into mathematics department. I need to study mathematics. Let me get a mathematics book. Let me get a mathematics teacher. That is one step. Let me start doing assignments. Second step. Let me get past questions. Third step. Let me write the exam itself. Fourth step. I have passed the exam. What is next? Let me get the admission. I've gotten the admission. Next step, get the money. I don't have the complete money. Can I pay an installment, or can I get a loan that I'll pay back gradually? Or can I get funding? Can I get a scholarship? Next step. And you see, if you look at the picture, the step is infinity because goals never end. We never stop growing. But when you break them down, they feel like steps. So you keep climbing, 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 climbing. But it's easier because you know that even if you are not ready to go to the next step, you are still balanced in this step because you have broken it down well. If I say I'm not ready to go to school now, I've gotten my admission, I can defer my admission to the next year and wait till I am comfortable. That is a step that I am balanced on. Okay, I want to get married, but I have not yet seen a man. A man has not yet proposed to me, but I am on one particular step now, and that particular step is that I am getting better. I am preparing myself to be a wife. I am preparing myself to be an independent woman. Okay, I have failed all my subjects. I am on a comfortable step now. I am reading better. I have gotten better books. Okay, I'm not getting promoted at my workplace. I have gone to attend conferences to see how to level up in my career. That is a step that I am now on. I am no longer on the rope. I am on a step. And it is always much more comfortable to be on a step. The next part, pursue knowledge. Now, there are many points on that list, but the major points here is to pursue knowledge. Because take, for example, my story about dressing very poorly and very badly. This is failure in fashion, big failure in fashion, you see. But until I opened my eyes, I started to look at what people were doing. I told you at some point I was checking blogs online. Yes, I'm not ashamed to say it. At some point I was watching YouTube videos. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was pursuing knowledge. I know Sabi dress. I cannot combine colors well. I need the knowledge of how to dress well. I had to seek out the knowledge. Now, in life, generally, regardless of whatever path that we are feeling in. One sure way, number one, to pursue knowledge is to seek for mentors. Now, mentorship is something that has been downplayed in Africa, has been downplayed in our society, because most times people believe my parents should be my mentor. In fact, not that we believe, that's how they made us growing up. Your father, your mother has the first and the final say before any outsider. But the truth is, they cannot be enough. They are wonderful, they are great, they do so much, they cannot be enough. We need mentors. And what mentors do is, you see that place we want to go, those goals we want to achieve. Our mentors have climbed those steps before. It is a universal process. They've gone through that process before. What they will simply do is they'll tell you, put your leg here. They'll tell you, hold this place. They'll tell you, pass this place. They are simply giving us ideas that they had to struggle to figure out on their own. So it's like questions basically with answers that you know and you are certain that you will also get in an exam. Next is to read books. Books are wonderful, wonderful. Trust me, growing up, I did not like to read books. I'm one person that will never tell you to read a book. I prefer movies, I prefer documentaries, I prefer music. I can listen to documentaries, I can listen, even now I can listen to podcasts for hours, I can listen to messages for hours, and I will concentrate, I will give you full summary. So it's not like I'm looking for excuse or I'm looking for a shortcut. I will pay full attention and get it. But you see, there's something about books, and that is the fact that anything you hear someone say, including me that I'm talking now, anything you hear me say is my own perspective. Do you know this same thing I am saying now could be written down and you will get a different perspective? True story. Write it out. Write on your book. Say, Daniel is eating. Can probably use your name. Say, Daniel is eating. You have written that, Abby. Give somebody else to read what you wrote. You'll be surprised how they will read it. Someone else will think, you said Daniel is eating. That's a statement. Someone else will think, Daniel is eating. He's eating now. The person will start looking around. Where is the Daniel that is eating? Where is the Daniel that is eating? They'll think you are passing them a note. You give another person, you say Daniel is eating, another person, the person will be offended. They say, and so why are you telling me that? Why do I need that? Perspective. And that's what you will find in books. There is something you will see that anybody who did a summary, anybody who told you about it may not have seen. And that may just be what will change your life. Number three, join supportive communities. There's nothing like knowing that somebody else is going through what I'm going through. Always, that's one thing that I would say kept me stuck in my years of failure, because I looked around, I tried to support people. It was like all my friends were succeeding. It was like all my family was going ahead of me. Nobody was on the same level with me. Everybody was doing well. But the truth is, everybody was going through something. They were just hiding it, and so there was no supportive community. And the next point I like to make here is faith and resilience. Because you see, this thing that has become a stigma, it is very strong. And I'm not going to lie to you, as someone who has gone through it, it will feel like you cannot get out. It requires a belief, it requires faith, it requires that mindset that I did not do it does not mean I cannot do it, because I can. And even if you fail again and you're feeling like I cannot, you say back to it again, I can. It pushes you down again, you say back to it, I can. Come on, think about it. I failed from JS1 to 500 level. I was basically a failure by all measurements. Why did I still go and say I want to do a master's degree? True story. Me, when I was in the master's degree, I was like, let me just do this. I'll just tell people I have masters. Even if it is tough class I get, I'll just tell them I have masters. They will not know what result I got. Until somebody told me that, bros, in masters, if you don't get up to 2-1, you will actually do it again, no? And they will not even call it a masters. They told me one name that they will call it, that you cannot say you have a master's degree unless you have second class upper and above. By every by every sense of the word, how and why would I have gotten the boldness to say, I want to still do this thing again? It is faith and resilience. And just take a look at that verse. It says, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Now, this is the part I like. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Meaning that, bro, you are going to go through this thing. Sis, you are going to feel this thing. We cannot escape it. If you want to grow, if you want to get higher in life, you will experience it. But you will be strengthened. You will be helped. You will be upholded. All you have to do is show up. One of my pastors said something once, and I love that, and I've always held on to it. He said, "You know what? Being a believer is like a cheat code. Okay, it's like a cheat code to life. Simply because you have a book that tells you the answers to everything. All you have to do is just follow it. It's a script, and check your life. Check your life. Everyone who has ever succeeded did not succeed once. I say to you, it is a challenge. Check anyone you admire today who is a success. If that person did not have a failure, that person has not truly succeeded. You can only say you succeeded when you passed the test of failure. Now, understand that failure, already we are redefining failure. Failure is not what we understood. When I say the person has failed, doesn't mean the person got F in their academics, doesn't mean the person did not marry, doesn't mean the person did not have a child. No, failure is in different ways and formats. People experience it differently. There is something that pushed people down, there is something that forced them to believe they cannot, but they hoped against hope and they pushed forward until they got it. That is what we need to find out and replicate in our life. Understand that every failure we face is a seed planted in our life, because it is like a lesson. It will germinate and it will show forth. I've come to learn something in life. You see, for every phase we are going to go into, there's always a test. When you fail it, it simply means you need to pass that test in order to pass that phase. So you're trying to get a promotion. If you've not got a promotion, it means there's something wrong. If you are brilliant, you have not got a promotion, it means probably there's some emotional intelligence you need to get. You are emotionally intelligent, but you have not got a promotion, it means probably you need to step up in your credentials, get better portfolios, get more certifications, get more knowledge. So that failure is a seed planted that when it germinates, it is an experience that we must not repeat that thing again. Remember, it is not that you cannot, it is just that you did not. Very important. If you've never journaled, if you've never had a record of things you've done in life, you need to start now. Write down everything you've learned. Each time it feels like you failed, to get better at it, write it down. What have I learned in this process? Okay, I failed this semester. What caused it? What caused it? I was reading in the library. Okay, the library is too quiet. I need noise. I will read in the chapel. Okay, I was reading in the chapel. The chapel was too loud. I'll go to the library. It's more quiet. Okay, I got in a wrong relationship. What were the red flags I saw in that? You write them down. Okay, I am not getting promoted at work. Am I in the wrong place of work? Am I in the wrong field? Am I in the wrong career? Write them down so you can spot and picture perfectly. When you write them down, you have a bird's eye view to understand and make corrections better. I love this picture. You know why I love this picture? This is a tree. Can you see? Can you see the foundation? It is a rock. Now, we've learned that plants must grow in soil, plants must grow in loamy soil, a soil that is fertile, a soil that will support their growth. How come a tree is growing on rock? We need to be resilient. We must have that resilience against anything. Okay, let me not say too much Bible. I was going to quote a verse again. But just have this picture in your head. If this tree can survive the rock, just imagine, when last did this tree see water? Apart from rainfall, when last did it get water from that rock? When last did it get nutrients from that rock? But it started strong, very, very strong. Only the strongest of winds, or if someone deliberately uproots it, that's when it will fall. I don't even know where this is in the world. It looks very real to me, but even if it is not real, it is still a good depiction of what people's lives are. sitting on a rock, firm. When it looks like the rock is the wrong place, that is where you should actually succeed. When it looks like you failed, when it looks like you can't get this right, that is when you should stand firm and get things right. And then we must always finish strong. That's a mentality we cannot afford to lose. Let's always believe that we must finish strong. I mean, it doesn't matter what I'm going through now. It doesn't matter how many times I've failed now. It doesn't matter how many times I've gotten things wrong now. I must finish strong. There's a very popular video that was going viral many years ago when during the Olympics. I think it was the Olympics. Very popular competition then. An athlete was running. The guy was actually supposed, they predicted that he'll be one of top three in that race, and he got injured on the track. Like, this race started and he fell down and he got injured and he was crying. And there's something about the Olympics that unless you are unable to continue, you must always finish. Even if you're last, do your best to finish. And this guy was trying, he was struggling, and then his dad ran from the stands, pushed the security, rushed to him, pushed everybody aside and helped his son, and they literally walked to the finish line. He was last. But you know, today, even me as I'm talking, I don't remember who finished first. I only remember him that finished strong. He was last. I said again, he was last. But I remember him because he finished strong. I remember him because he was the one who came out. He was the one who reached the finish line. Okay. Finally, I mean, I can say a whole lot more for the next part. Don't think failures. Think flowers. It might be tough. Look at this. This is a crack. This is another rock. A flower is coming out of it. When someone dropped the seed there, they might have just thought, you know what, this thing can never survive. This thing will never come out. But if only you think flowers, you'd come out as flowers. Because you see, there's something about our mindset, our thoughts, and our actions. Whatever we believe is what we become. I know social media, it has become like a prank there. If you say that thing, people will laugh at you. But it is true. Whatever you believe, whatever you say, whatever you follow through on is what you become. So instead of failures, think flowers. Think flowers. Okay. I have failed in school. No, I can be a flower in school. I failed in relationships. No, I can be a flower in relationship. I failed in church. No, I can be a flower in church. I failed in career. No, I can be a flower in my career. I will bloom. That's what flowers mean. I will shine. That's what flower means. I will blossom. That's what flower means. I will be beautiful. That's what flower means. Okay, we'll take a break here tonight. I really wanted to keep this on an hour. I think we're 5 minutes past. Thank you very much to everyone who joined. The recording will be made available so you can watch this again. We want you to get the full benefit of the full value of your investment, definitely. So you can always go back to it. And if you have some feedback, please do well to share with us. We love feedback. We want to make things better. This is me also talking to myself, finally, let me just say this is me also talking to myself. I mean, literally from my stories that I've shared, you understand that this is something I have been through, is something I am going through, and I have decided I will finish strong. I must get over everything. And so I am also talking to myself to think flowers. My name is Additional Tomi-Daniel. Thank you very much to everyone who made our time. And I hope you do make our time for the next part as well. So we'll be talking about should we spill it? Should we okay, actually it's even right there. Like if you have the flyer, you know what the next part is already. We'll be talking about emotional intelligence as a young owner. So I believe who is everyone in life generally has something, has a what's the right word? Now everyone has a purpose, everyone has a vision. We all get to own something in life, we all get to showcase something in life. So how to intelligently manage our emotions to achieve that is what we'll be talking about in the next series. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you there again.